Welcome back. Today we are talking about restaurant management, chapter 7. So there is a lot of industry jargon that is used in the textbook. So I want to go into a little bit more detail and explain some of these terms to you and add a little bit of my insights from my personal experience to what is covered in the book. So front of house, we've covered this a little, but front of house is customer facing, guest interaction, spaces where guests can go. Back of house is people who don't necessarily interact with guests and who work in a space where guests aren't permitted. Hosts or hostess are generally the first and last contact for guests in a restaurant. They take reservations, they greet guests, they seat them based on section assignments. Section assignments is a breakdown of the restaurant tables divided by different sections. And they are divided by the different wait staff. So hosts will rotate seating guests between the different sections of the different servers to spread out the workload between the different servers. So this is why you might walk past some empty tables on the way to a table they want to seat you at, because those tables may be in a different server section who just got sat at another table. And in order to provide the guests with the best service, you want to rotate seating different servers so they have time to get the guests their drinks and take their orders before they get another table that they have to take care of. Touch points or moments of truth. We talked about this before, but this is every opportunity for the staff to have an impact on the guest's experience. So examples again are greeting the guests, taking their order, serving their food, refilling their drinks, offering them additional items, thanking them, things like that. So suggestive selling or upselling. This is going to be talked about some more in some of your assignments, so keep an eye out for that. This is the practice of offering items to the guest which they may not have ordered otherwise. So it could be something like, we have a special we're running, you may want to consider ordering that. Something like an overstock, so the manager orders too much chicken and says, okay, everybody push the chicken because it's going to go bad if we don't sell it all. So everyone wants to sell that, so you can use it up. Or even like higher priced items. So a guest might order a hamburger and you say, oh, would you like to add bacon or avocado to your burger for an extra charge? That way you're getting a higher ticket sale, which is good for the restaurant because the guest is already there. You might as well sell them as much as you can, right? So 86. So the term 86 is used when a restaurant runs out of something or part of something. So part of an ingredient to make a dish. So an example would be if you run out of wheat bread. So you would 86 wheat toast because you can no longer serve wheat toast, but you wouldn't necessarily have to 86 the tuna sandwich that is normally served on wheat bread. You would just tell the servers, hey, we're out of 86 wheat bread. So if someone orders the tuna, just offer them a different type of bread and see if they still want it with a different type of bread. So you don't have to 86 the tuna sandwich. However, if you ran out of tuna, you would obviously 86 the tuna sandwich because you can't serve that. It's a primary ingredient, right? Okay. So covers. The term covers is used to refer to the number of guests who visit a restaurant during a time period. So an example would be, we had 87 covers during lunch today. That means 87 individuals had lunch at the restaurant. So POS, or point of sale, or point of service is sometimes what they're called. It's a system that allows for greater efficiency within an operation of a restaurant, and it can often track inventory, sales totals, labor, and all kinds of other data. Most customer-facing businesses these days have a point of sale. So whether it be a restaurant, a hotel, a retail location, a grocery store, you name it, they generally have a terminal where, the computer system where the guest checks out or purchases their items, or where the employee rings in the tickets and that sort of thing. Those computer systems, again, are where they ring in sales, where the employees generally are going to clock in and out for their shifts, and it's going to track kind of all your numbers in that one system. Inventory management is effectively is basically managing what you have on hand. So inventory is the product you have on hand, whether it be items on a grocery store shelf, or in the terms of a restaurant, how much food you have, how many supplies you have in your restaurant. So this is super critical to the success of any restaurant. So in the book, Fridays is referenced. Their theory is order it well, which means don't over or under order, order what you need. Receive it well. So keep accurate records of what you have. So when you get product in, make sure you know that you have that product so you don't accidentally order more or forget you have it and not use it, right? So receive it well. Store it well is do not lose product due to temperature or storage issues. Make it to recipe is make sure the staff doesn't use too much or too little of one ingredient, because then you won't have the right amount left in your inventory, and that'll throw off your numbers and you won't be sure why. So make sure that your staff is always cooking items based on the recipe, so they're using the right amount of product based on what you're supposed to have on hand. And then don't let it die in the window. So only prep what you need and and sell what you prep. So this is, some restaurants will maybe make certain things ahead of time in order to speed up the service when the guest orders. So a hamburger restaurant may start cooking patties ahead of time when the lunch rush starts so that they have a bunch of patties ready and they can slap together the hamburgers. But if the rush isn't as busy as they anticipated, those hamburgers might sit there too long and they may need to throw them out or not use them. So you don't want to over prep so that you waste food, right? So in the restaurant, you'll hear the term par. Just like in golf, the par is a target number. So a par 3 hole, they expect that you can get to the hole within 3 strokes, right? In a restaurant, a par is just sort of a level that you're trying to hit. So you'll have stock pars for how much inventory you should have and prep pars for how much food you should prep in a given day. So an example of this is at Firehouse, our stock par was 8 cases of turkey. So I needed to have 8 cases of turkey in the fridge at all times. So when I went to place my order, if I had 3 cases of turkey, I would order 5 to get to that 8. 3 plus 5 is 8, right? And then our par to slice turkey, for how much we would have ready to serve the guest, was 6 containers per day. So if I had 2 containers left over from the day before and I needed to get to that 6, I would slice 4 more containers so that it'd be ready to have that par met for that day. Product life. So unlike a use by or sell by date from, you may see in a grocery store on a product, restaurants often put a life on their products. So the items not necessarily go bad or be unsafe to eat if they go beyond this life, but they won't taste as fresh and meet the quality standards that the restaurant's trying to put forward. So at Firehouse, our sliced meats had a 2-day life. Obviously, they could sit in the fridge for much longer than 2 days and be safe to eat, right? But if they were sliced Monday and they were still there when we closed on Tuesday, we did not serve them anymore after that. We called that waste. So we're going to talk about waste now. All right, so waste is items that must be removed from inventory as they are not saleable. So an example of this is food that's prepared and it goes past its life, like we just talked about, or food that is prepared wrong or spoiled or otherwise, falls on the floor, is some way not suitable to be served. So some restaurants allow their employees or managers to consume food waste. Obviously not stuff that's fallen on the floor, but things that are maybe made wrong or the guest orders and changes their mind or something. But that can definitely lead to abuse if it's not properly managed. So at Firehouse, we did not allow our employees to eat mess ups because they could accidentally mess up the sandwich and make it just how they like to order theirs and say, whoops, I messed up. And then they'd get to eat it, people take advantage of it. So we did not let our employees eat messed up sandwiches because we didn't want to encourage that kind of behavior. So FIFO, first in, first out. This is technically an accounting term, but it's the practice of using the oldest product first. So you want to, if you have 2 cartons of milk in your fridge, you buy a new one, but the other one's not finished yet, you want to finish the old one first before you open the new one, right? It's that basic concept. So this keeps items rotating so that older items don't spoil in storage. I use FIFO in my house. So you basically would just place all the similar items in the same shelf or the same place in the fridge and put the newest farthest from reach. So this makes it easy to just reach in and grab the older one that you want to use first, and then you don't have to check dates. So when I buy canned goods, I put all my cans of one item in a row. I have the oldest ones first, and when I buy new ones, I put them in the back. That way, when I go to grab a can of corn, I know the one right in front is going to be the oldest, and that's the one I want to use first, right? So that's the term FIFO, first in, first out. Used in every restaurant that has ever existed. And then a lot of other organizations use it too, again, for accounting purposes or for actual using up inventory. So production control sheets, or prep sheets, they're called for short. These are sheets that they're used to track how much of an item is on hand and how much needs to be prepared to meet the par. So we kind of talked about this already, that our pars, were set, and we had to see what we had and prep what we needed to get to that par. So saving and reviewing your prep sheets over the course of a week, a month, or a year can show trends in how much you're using, and then you can adjust pars accordingly. So if you see that every day you have 3 or 4 of something left over, maybe you want to lower your par so you only have 1 or 2 left over, so you have less product rolling from day to day, which means the customer's getting a fresher product, right? Staffing plans. So employees in this industry understand that they're not going to always know their schedule in advance. They're not going to always have set hours. They know that certain days may be busier or slower than, anticipated, and they may leave early or things like that. As the book mentions, it's easier to overstaff and send people home early or cut people if you don't need them, rather than trying to understaff and it's busy and you need to call people in on their day off. That's always really challenging, to get people to come in when they're not expecting to work. However, making a habit of sending people home early can send the message that they're not going to get enough hours and therefore won't get the pay they're expecting and may not be able to pay their bills. So this might encourage them to go look for work elsewhere. So at Firehouse, when it was slow, I would always give the employees to leave early if they wanted to, if they had to get to some other engagement or wanted to get home and do homework or whatever. But if they really wanted to stay and earn the money and they were expecting that paycheck, I always gave them the option to stay and find something to do. So I would give them extra cleaning tasks or a project, organizing a shelf I hadn't had time to organize or something like that, so they could get the hours they were expecting. And those who needed the pay really appreciated that we found a way to keep them on the clock. So training is super critical to the success of any business, but especially in the restaurant industry. The few times I was short-staffed and I tried to rush someone through the training process so I could get them on the schedule and working, always went terribly. Poorly trained employees may prepare food wrong, resulting in waste. That's money down the drain. They may provide lower quality service, which may result in losing customers or unhappy customers. And they may feel overwhelmed and just not even want to work there anymore. They may quit or just stop showing up. So proper training is so important, as well as employee recognition. We all know that it's important to feel appreciated, right? If you've ever had a job and your manager didn't show any form of appreciation, you probably weren't happy working there. There's so many inexpensive ways to take care of your employees and make them feel appreciated. You can offer discounts or free food, or if the employees have to buy their uniforms, you can provide them with free uniforms or extra uniforms so they don't have to do laundry as often. You can give the employee of the month a better parking spot. You can praise employees when they're caught doing things right. So a lot of times people would say, oh, you only tell me when I'm doing something wrong. You never, call me out when I do things right, which is most of the time, right? I think managers tend to forget that employees need to be reminded when they're doing something right. So when you catch someone doing something good, say, hey, great job. I just noticed that you helped this customer and did that. That was wonderful. And not only will they feel good and continue to do that good behavior, but other peers who see that, who see you recognizing them when they're doing something right, will be encouraged to do that good thing as well.